Hyperia at Thorpe Park is the tallest and fastest roller coaster in the United Kingdom. This is a crazy mock hypercoaster with some freakishly tall and weirdly profiled elements. This is why I now think it's the best coaster in the country, and I will explain why in this review. From 1989 to 2015, Thorpe Park was home to Loggers Leap. This was a mock log flume in the Old Town section of the park. The park originally planned to redevelop the attraction, but it was announced as permanently closed in 2019, making this a prime spot for the park's next edition. Thorpe Park was already arguably the top destination in the country for thrill rides, but their coaster lineup had a major gap: an airtime-centric coaster. In December 2021, at a public consultation, the park revealed plans for Project Exodus. This would become the country's tallest roller coaster, standing 236 feet, or 72 meters tall. This would take the height record from Blackpool Pleasure Beach's Big One. That coaster held the record ever since opening in 1994, officially standing 213 feet, or 65 meters tall. However, that park commonly cites Big One's height as 235 feet, which is that coaster's height above sea level, hence why Thorpe went 1 foot taller than that figure. While a manufacturer was not revealed at the consultation, the park shared a noise study conducted on Hypercoaster at Turkey's Land of Legends. Assuming it would be the same ride, this made it highly likely the ride would be a mock hypercoaster. Thorpe confirmed this to be true roughly 1 year later. It took Thorpe a bit longer than expected to get the necessary applications due to the ride's location in a floodplain, but the ride got the green light and was set for a 2024 opening. I was hopeful that Exodus would be this coaster's official name, but that was just a placeholder. The ride's official name was revealed to be Hyperia 1 year before it opened. The backstory for this ride is that Hyperia was the daughter of a river god, but her fear of water imprisoned her on an island. So she forged wings of steel, allowing her to escape. Unless I missed it, I did not see this information by the ride itself. I only saw this by staying at the Hyperia-themed room at the on-site Shark Cabin Hotel. This ride is part of the newly formed Fearless Valley, which at this time is just Hyperia and its gift shop. The land has barely any theming. The land is essentially Hyperia. Thankfully, the coaster itself looks great. The ride's track and supports mostly are pearl white to blend in with the country's usually cloudy skies. I believe this was mandated by the town. I was lucky enough though to visit on a day with clear skies, and this scheme really stood out. Then the lower sections of track have a golden brown color. The coaster does not have much theming. Instead, this is a ride whose elements do the talking. Hyperia dominates Thorpe's skyline. It towers over everything on the left-hand side of the park. It absolutely dwarfs the adjacent Saw and Colossus roller coasters. And I love the view you get of this ride as you walk across the bridge into the park. It immediately catches your eye. The ride looks equally as imposing up close. The ride has a super slender layout, so you just see one tall element after another stacked on top of each other, and the queue is routed underneath the coaster, giving you some neat views overhead. Just don't expect the best photos though due to all the netting. That ties into my next point. The lower area sort of looks ugly. Beyond the netting, the queue fencing is rather obstructive, and the landscaping is unfinished as of this recording. Then the one special feature during the main layout is a splashdown, and that barely worked in the ride's inaugural year. From the outside, the station also looks boxy, but the interior thankfully looks fantastic. It is atmospherically dark. Whenever a train dispatches, smoke shoots up from the track. Wings hung above the station are filled with molten steel via projection mapping. Then the music intensifies. Hyperia has an amazing soundtrack from IMAscore. It is one of the best scores for any amusement ride. It's absolutely epic. It pumps all throughout the area, getting you amped up for your ride. Then it picks up in intensity whenever a train is dispatched and ascends the lift hill. Now unfortunately, Hyperia has been a very frustrating coaster to experience in 2024. The main issue has been this coaster's extremely long wait times. As you'd expect, a record-breaking coaster like this has drawn immense crowds. Waits have routinely hovered around the 1.5 to 2 hour marks, and I have seen waits at 4 hours some days. I suspect that will regress a bit in the future seasons, but it likely will still be the park's longest wait for many years to come. One of the biggest culprits is the ride's capacity. It has a much lower hourly throughput than most hypercoasters. Most hypers have trains that can seat 28 to 36 riders, and quite a few have 3 trains. Hyperia has just 2 trains. It thankfully almost always runs both, unless there's an issue. But each train holds just 20 riders. The trains are comprised of 5 cars, each with 2 rows of 2. The long waits are not any fault of the crew though. They load and check restraints super quickly. It helps that you have just a lap bar and no additional seatbelts. This leads to little stacking. In fact, the crew would often be standing around for several seconds in between each train because Hyperia's brake run advances the prior train very slowly. So what are the best ways to experience this coaster with a minimal wait? Well, a more minimal wait. With most rides, the best strategy is to head there early or late, but that doesn't always work with Hyperia. Most guests want to head to this coaster first thing in the morning. Once the rope drops, people sprint to Hyperia. If you do not run, there will already be a sizable line by the time you reach the attraction. And even if you're first, you may still end up waiting. Hyperia often does not open with the park. It is often spotted testing with water dummies right around park opening. This is so common that Thorpe has a note warning guests about this on their ride availability page. In my visits, Hyperia was not ready until 30 to 60 minutes after the park opened, whereas most other rides were ready to go. Then when Hyperia opens, it will run its slowest at the start of the day, so I think it's more prudent to get some walk-ons on the other coasters and hit Hyperia later in the day when it's running at its peak. The shortest waits are often right before park close, but this can be a gamble. Thorpe also has a note on the website and a sign by the attraction that Hyperia's queue can close early. This doesn't always happen, but it's more likely to occur on days when the park is extremely busy or has late closings. The 2 most efficient ways to board this coaster quickly are via the fast track and single rider queues. As of 2024, Hyperia is not included on any of the fast track packages. I imagine Hyperia will be added to the fast track packages in future seasons once the newness wears off. As of now, it is only available as an expensive single shot. It costs £20 per person per ride. You reserve a 1-hour window, and when you return, you are brought up to the station stairs, and you should board in less than 5 minutes. These go on sale right at park opening. These were difficult to acquire in the ride's opening weeks, but they had tons of availability in my late summer visits. You also get a fast track for this coaster if you stay at the Hyperia-themed room at the Shark Cabin Hotel. I highly recommend this hotel between the cost, convenience, and perks. The most efficient free way to get on Hyperia is the single rider line. I went on busy summer days, so many people were using it, but it was still much shorter than the standby queue. I waited about 30 to 60 minutes in the single rider line each time. While you cannot pick your seat, that is the same in the standby line anyway. Seating for Hyperia is usually strictly assigned front to back. They do not let anyone wait for a row that's already occupied. If you ask nicely, an operator may allow you to choose a different unoccupied seat, such as the back, but it is not guaranteed. I was able to ride Hyperia in multiple seats across the train, and I liked the back best, while the speed feels even stronger up front. That drop is absolutely amazing, and you want to be as far back as possible to maximize it. I also prefer the right side of the train, also because of the drop. The laterals are far more pronounced on that side. I did discover a tip if you want to maximize your odds of being placed at the very front or back of the train. The final part of the queue is one set of stairs, a right turn, and a second set of stairs right up into the station. If you're standing at the very top of the first set of stairs when they start loading a train, you usually will get the back of that train or the front of the following one. This is dependent upon how densely packed the queue is ahead of you, but this was true for most of my rides. The park originally planned to offer a front row queue in 2024, but that was scrapped at the last minute, so hopefully they offer one in future seasons and/or become more flexible with row requests. The other headache with Hyperia has been its uptime. I already mentioned the delayed openings and early closures daily, but this ride has had some additional issues. After just one day of operation, Hyperia closed for 2 weeks due to an issue with the lift hill. During all of my visits, I saw a maintenance worker with a pair of binoculars staring out the lift. Then the coaster had a sudden week-long closure in late September, where I believe they were again working on the lift hill. It's not like this is the first coaster Mack has built with a lift hill, so I'm really surprised this has been such a problem for this park. The coaster has also had a valleying issue, particularly in the outer banked barrel roll. This element is amazing because of how sustained it is, but trains can really crawl through it early in the day. The coaster is valleyed here at least twice, causing Hyperia to close for a few days and reopen with just one train available. The park tries to mitigate this by loading some seats with water dummies, but this has not been enough on some cooler or windy days. For that reason, I would be skeptical of the weather limits set on Thorpe's website. Hyperia is listed that can run temperatures as low as 41 degrees Fahrenheit or 5 degrees Celsius. More interestingly, it is listed as capable of running in 47 mile/hour winds. That is impressive for any ride, let alone a hypercoaster with some large elements. For reference, the park's other major coasters have max wind speeds of 31 to 40 miles per hour, and even more bizarrely, Hyperia supposedly can operate in higher winds than the park's non-coasters, including the bumper cars. One of my visits took place on a day with 40+ mile/hour wind gusts. Only one outdoor ride was closed. Care to guess which ride that was? Of course it was Hyperia. Now I get that wind direction plays a big role with wind, but that post on the website is pretty deceptive for a ride that is prone to valleying, so I would try to avoid visiting on a super windy day if this coaster is your top priority. Back to the ride experience itself. The trains are identical to what are found on Mack's newer thrill coasters. I love these trains. You have elevated seats with an overhead lap bar. The ladder is snug, but comfortable, and is profiled in such a way that you still are fully able to experience all the airtime and hang time this coaster offers. The coaster begins with that cool dispatch sequence. It is a delight both on and off ride. You then advance forward and slowly navigate an outer bank turn. It's a quirky start that feels like something you'd see on an RMC. In fact, you did get this exact same start on another RMC in Untamed at Wallaby Holland. But I think it works even better on Hyperia because the trains are more open. So as you slowly navigate the turn, you really lean sideways, staring out at those in the queue line. You then face the massive lift hill. It is quite a shock seeing its size directly in front of you. The train travels up at a brisk pace. Anticipation builds as the musical score increases in tempo. Then you also get some astounding views. To your left, you get a bird's eye view of the park. Then in the distance, you can see Heathrow Airport and London on a clear day. The music hits a crescendo, and then you are chucked over what may now be my new favorite drop. This thing is unhinged. It's a vertical drop that rotates you 180 degrees. That sounds crazy, but the profiling makes it even more extreme in the best way possible. As you crest the drop, you cannot even see the bottom. You just see the outer bank barrel roll in front of you, so your mind plays tricks on you that you'll continue straight. But nope, you are rapidly turned right around. The crest of the drop is super sharp. If you're in the back 3 cars, get ready for ultra-sustained ejector airtime. It's extra powerful in the very back car. You are ripped skywards at the start. Then I had a freefall sensation by the end due to the sheer length of the drop. Those in the front cars instead get plentiful floater airtime over ejector. The leftward twist starts later than you'd expect. It doesn't kick in until you're about halfway down, so the train has a lot of speed by this point. So you get some intense laterals, especially on the right side of the train. You'll be mercilessly dangling sideways while still experiencing all that airtime. Getting ejector in the back row and laterals of this magnitude on a drop of this scale is why this drop is so special. Then the pullout contrasts that with crushing positive Gs. You are slammed back in your seat. This part does have a noticeable rattle towards the back, but it was not enough to cause a headache or any real discomfort for me. You then have an Immelmann. Some don't count it as an inversion, some do. Either way, it's a great element. The entrance continues the strong positive Gs of the pullout, which caused me to gray out in all my rides. You finish the twist early and level off over the top. You fly over the top and careen down another large drop. This offers strong and very sustained ejector airtime in the rear rows. Those in front get equally as sustained airtime, but it instead maxes out as flagector. Now it's time for the ride's most unique element, the outer banked barrel roll. It starts as a colossal outer banked hill, but rather than dropping down normally, it completes a 360-degree twist on the descent. I had no clue how it would ride, but it's downright magical. In front, everyone is forcibly popped upwards. In back, you're more gradually levitated upwards. Then everyone gets 5 straight seconds of powerful, sustained ejector airtime from weird angles. You start sideways, and then it continues while you're inverting on the barrel roll. Then the twist also throws in great laterals while you're fully ejected. I saw some people compare this to Iron Gwazi's death roll, but this feels way different. It is less whippy and offers far stronger airtime. This is one of the best elements of any coaster between the oddity, immense forces, duration, and disorienting nature. So while it is annoying that this element can cause the ride to valley in specific conditions, it is beautiful when it runs properly. Next is a dive loop. This is another element that is intentionally drawn out. It is super tall, and the train takes its sweet time completing the flip, so the first half really feels more like a stall. You hang upside down for several seconds, getting inverted floater airtime at first, and then pure hang time. Then you finish the inversion by diving to the ground. Next is a section of straight track. This has some trim brakes, and you will noticeably feel the train decelerate, but this is necessary because of how short the following 2 elements are. This was supposed to be a visually stunning moment, at least with a fake splashdown via a series of geysers. But as I noted earlier, this effect has barely worked in 2024. Hopefully that's fixed in future seasons, because I love how this looks in rides like Shambhala at PortAventura. Hyperia then treats riders to an outer banked bunny hill. This offers very good sustained ejector for all. At the same time, you are leaning sideways. Then as you abruptly twist right on the exit, you get a sharper jolt of laterals. You then bank into one last bunny hill. This offers decent ejector for all. You then hit the brakes and finally get a moment to catch your breath. You then slowly return to the station, ending the 3,266 foot, or 995 meter long experience. Now unfortunately, that is not a lot of track length for a hypercoaster, and Hyperia does indeed feel short. Most hypers have at least 12 elements, but Hyperia has just 6. Most hypers have at least 1 minute of prime ride time, but Hyperia's drop to brakes lasts just about 35 seconds. I really wish this coaster had an extended series of bunny hills at the end, much like other hypercoasters. That was one of the best parts of DC Rivals, another mock hypercoaster. Now I get that Thorpe was confined to a relatively small plot, so they could not fit the usual series of large camelbacks found on other mega coasters, but they definitely had the space to wrap the ride around for some additional smaller hills, if they wanted to. I suspect cost was the main reason. Hyperia cost £18 million, or $23.5 million US, which made it the second most expensive coaster in the park's history, just behind the Swarm. It is expensive to build tall and also expensive to build long. Some hypercoasters choose to do both, but Thorpe decided to prioritize height over length. This allowed the coaster to secure the country's height and speed records, which are highly marketable, and it also made the few elements this coaster contained truly explosive. Hyperia has phenomenal pacing. Outside that brief section of straight track, there is not a single moment of dead space in this ride. The ride beautifully switches from towering, airtime-filled elements to speedy, forceful valleys. In terms of smoothness, Hyperia does very well. Both trains rattled at the bottom of the first drop towards the back of the train. Then Train 2 specifically also shook in the following two pullouts. But again, this shake was not enough to cause any pain or discomfort, for me at least. It was just present. So, what would I rate Hyperia? I would give this coaster a 9.5 out of 10. This ride is a powerhouse. This ride is all about quality over quantity. The first four elements are incredible, and it may be the best start of any coaster. You have arguably the world's best drop, a diverse Immelmann, that wacky outer banked barrel roll, and a hang time-filled dive loop. The mix of forces is fantastic. The airtime specifically on these is extremely strong and plentiful. The only reason this ride is not perfect in my opinion is because it's over too quickly. I really wish this coaster had some extra bunny hills at the end. Hyperia is still a special ride. I love what it has, but it just does not have the length for me to crack my top 10 coasters. If this ride had a series of bunny hills at the end like most hypercoasters, this very well could have been a top 5 coaster for me. This ride's start is that strong. But Hyperia does more than enough to be the best coaster in Thorpe Park and the United Kingdom as a whole. That is what the park was going for, and they achieved it. Everyone seems to love this ride, and it's drawing the crowds to the park. It really is a breathtaking experience. So those are my thoughts on Hyperia at Thorpe Park, the unique and extreme Mach hypercoaster. What are your thoughts on this ride? Do you agree it's the country's best coaster? Let me know down in the comments. If you enjoyed this review, I would appreciate it if you gave this video a like, and you consider subscribing, because there'll be a lot more roller coaster amusement park videos here at Canopy Coaster. Thanks for watching.